Tiger Height here, and I want to take some time to thank Anchor for sponsoring this show. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. You can do everything from your phone or from your computer all in one place with Anchor. Creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast without any additional software whatsoever. They'll distribute the podcast for you, so it can be heard everywhere from Spotify to Google Podcasts to Apple Podcasts and many more. And you can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And it's absolutely free. This entire thing is absolutely free. So, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That again is the Anchor app or anchor.fm to get started. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, my majestic universe. This is the Pro Wrestling Zone podcast, a majestic production, where you will hear the news and reviews of everything professional wrestling with a twist. You have never heard another pro wrestling podcast like this, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And without further ado, let me introduce to you your hosts of the Pro Wrestling Zone, Tiger Height and Peanut Gallery. Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Zone number 4. We have two really big subjects. I am Tiger Height. This is Peanut Gallery.
What's up?
And a lot has been happening in wrestling to an extent, but I really want to talk about two things. Let's start with the Ric Flair, the man trademark, and his threat against WWE as a part of a legal battle. So if you're not aware, Ric Flair has announced with TMZ of all places that
because that's a reliable news source.
I mean, it's more reliable than most.
Well, that's true.
I mean, at least they get like audio and shit. It's not like they just report whatever. Right. I mean, it's a tabloid news source.
Right. Exactly.
Now, like I said, that could be good, that could be bad, but that's where he did that.
Right.
His company has officially put in a filing for trademarking the man in a wrestling form, which means that if he is successful on this, WWE would have to would have to pay him for Becky Lynch to use it.
Right.
And they would not be able to do that.
Yeah.
And of anything, they would say, okay, the Becky Lynch cannot use the man anymore.
Right.
Which would be a really bad idea.
Yeah, well, because she's, essentially her entire push to the top was predicated off of this idea. So
right.
That would not be good.
Yeah. So as of right now, it's still kind of in that little limbo stage.
Right.
And WWE has not made a formal acknowledgement of this.
Yep.
Ric Flair's daughter Charlotte is still signed with WWE. This whole thing, I guess, has caused a bit of a rift between them, which I think is ridiculous. But
hey, at least the 4 horsewomen are coming back ish.
Obviously with Bayley's heel turn, and they're really kind of developing it. But Peanut Gallery, what do you think about this whole Ric Flair thing?
I don't have an opinion about it. It just is.
I mean, I'm surprised he didn't do it way beforehand.
Well, obviously he's doing it because he's just bored and old and wants popularity, contests, whatever. Who cares?
He's been using this since 1981. You would think after that much time, he would want to file a trademark for it.
Nah, I don't think it was really much of an issue until all of a sudden he realized, oh, look, Becky Lynch is getting really popular off of it, and I want money.
She's been using this for, like, almost over a year.
Well,
The man was a
Ric
thing.
Ric Flair is always a gold digger. I don't like Ric Flair very much.
Really? You don't like Flair?
Nah, he's kind of an asshole.
Why?
Just
Explain to me what is wrong. I have no problem with him doing this trademark thing.
I have a problem with him taking advantage of now that someone is successful because of a trademark or because of a phrase he supposedly used. How many other people are using the man?
In a wrestling form?
Yeah, in a wrestling format.
Shit, I don't know.
Who's not world famous like Becky Lynch. Of course, he's just trying to attack Becky Lynch because I'm sure that one of his wives conned him out of a ton of money, and now Ric Flair is just desperate.
And I understand.
He's desperate for attention, or for fame, or for something.
You are not liking him whatsoever.
I don't like this. No, he's riding off the coattails of someone else, and he's like, oh, well, I use this forever. I'm like, really?
Yes.
I don't care if you have. If you haven't filed a trademark on it, then fuck you.
And if it was like somebody who wasn't Ric Flair, I think I would have a problem with it. But it's not like Ric Flair was a slouch. He was...
What?
Oh,
your phone.
my phone went off. I'm like, what the hell was that? Anyway, totally lost my train of thought there.
When you said Ric Flair is not a slouch when he totally is.
He's not. Ric Flair is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
But
arguably.
But
nowadays he's like
not.
he's like almost 80 goddamn years old.
But he has other intentions. He's not trying to do this.
The intention was not pure. And
no,
I understand
his
that.
His intentions are actually very impure, and I totally think that he shouldn't go through with this.
If he did this, if he did this like in the 90s, that would be one thing.
But he's doing this now, and obviously he's doing it because someone else is successful that's not Ric Flair.
Right. He's copyrighted Nature Boy, which makes sense. He's copyrighted To Be the Man. He's copyrighted, he's done this, and he's made a career, and he's been doing the same thing since the early 80s when he was calling himself the Man.
Right, but obviously, if this was a problem, he would have said something a year ago to the WWE. But now he's saying it for whatever reason.
I don't know why. Maybe he has, like, a new person that's telling him to do it. Maybe he didn't really care, because he's like,
Well, he should continue to not care then.
How
hard is this?
Obviously, he could do a lot more with what he has done, and he can get paid for a lot more things. Like I said, this is not like...
Doesn't he have a new endorsement deal anyways?
Yeah.
With, like Nike or something?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, so...
And that's a big-time contract, too. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's because one of his wives with this Nike deal has been saying, you need to cough up some more money. Maybe that's why. I don't understand why he's doing it. I think he has every right to do so.
I think he has every right to do so, but I don't think his intentions are at all pure, and I hate him for it.
Of course not. It's Ric Flair. I'm sorry, but Ric Flair is not a saint. He's never been.
And it's like, again, they should have done this like a year ago.
I'm playing devil's advocate with this. I mean, he should have spoke up and said something when Becky Lynch started to call herself the Man.
Right.
She was the hottest thing in wrestling. Yeah. Becky Lynch's tires have kind of been treading water for the last couple of months. Not saying that it's bad, because Becky Lynch is still one of the most popular things.
That's WWE's creative storytelling.
But that's something different. But if I was fucking Ric Flair, I would have said something when the iron was white freaking hot.
Right.
I mean, Ric Flair was he should have done this in the 80s. Why didn't he do it when he first started speaking about it?
I don't know.
He's had the trademark for Nature Boy for a really long time.
But I don't care about that. The problem is the timing.
The timing
is weird, and the timing is putting, I think it put a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't have respect for him. I never really had much respect for Ric Flair as a person, but This is not helping him with WWE whatsoever. Right, because WWE is putting a lot of money and faith into this
the man character for Becky Lynch, because it's so radically different. Ric Flair, he's really burning this bridge.
Yes, he is.
I think he set this bridge on fire, and I really hope that Charlotte, with this possible new babyface turn going up against Bayley, which I'm actually really excited for. It's something different.
I don't know. Charlotte doesn't seem like much of a face type person.
Maybe she could be an anti-hero like Becky Lynch, because Becky Lynch has never gone out and said she is a babyface.
Right.
She does heel things. She acts like a heel. Charlotte can be a babyface.
Right.
We've seen it before, and
Right.
she's a good babyface.
Exactly.
Now, as of right now, a lot of people are like, oh, she gets another title opportunity. I'm sorry. There's nobody in WWE on the women's division that can touch her.
Right.
Charlotte is...
She's untouchable.
She's just good. I'm sorry. When you're good, you get those opportunities.
Right.
Roman Reigns was never really bad.
Right.
He's not. I'm
he was
sorry.
just over pushed, and the problem is, again, another topic for another day.
Right.
But WWE has a certain reputation about doing this kind of crap.
Right. Ric Flair is... I really hope that WWE does not take out this whole thing with Ric Flair on Charlotte. That's my point.
I don't think that they will. I think that they're too smart for that, but still, it's the timing of it just seems off. And, again, I don't know why he's doing it, but it has something to do with money. He just
it definitely
wants money.
is. Right.
That's all it's about. It's all about money.
Of course it is.
That's how corrupt Ric Flair is.
It's Rick. Like I said, it's Ric Flair. He's not a saint in any aspect. He lives that nature boy gimmick.
Yeah, he lives that lifestyle.
But goddamn it, at least he's honest about it.
And that lifestyle costs money.
Right. Yes, there's a lifestyle, and I think if he really wanted to protect his name, he should have copyrighted the man a long time ago, because then this wouldn't have been a problem. You're fine.
All right. Yeah.
Will you stop fucking around with your shit?
Sorry.
Why? You were fine.
God. Well, I just wanted to check the timing and wanted to make sure that
We're only 10 minutes in. Chill.
All right. Well, so anyways, I guess we can talk about the news. I mean, that was one of the big news stories of the week.
The other one, I had it on. I took it off because I'm like, I was seeing how long we can do this Ric Flair thing, but not a lot has happened outside of what we already know.
Right. Besides the case of the missing world title. Now, I don't know if you heard about
this shit. Okay, so a lot of people had the speculation of the AEW World Champion. This was a part of a storyline.
Right.
And it wouldn't be surprising to me, but
But it wasn't.
It was found.
Yeah, they found it in the middle of the road.
This guy's name...
He tried to sell it on Craigslist.
This is the story to what I am aware of. And this is what I think happened. They were packing...
Oh, there goes my mic.
Well, you need to, stop moving around.
Hello.
No, there you go.
Oh, there I am. I'm back. Hi.
All right, so stop moving around.
Okay, I will stand still.
Yes.
Like this.
Yes, stand still. Hopefully that did not fuck up your audio. We'll listen back with it.
No, I just saw it go out now. Anyways, go on with the story.
So this is what happened, and this is what I think happened. The AEW World Champion was in a black velvet bag, and Chris Jericho used a limousine company to do that. I think they put the title either on top of the ambulance, on top of the limousine, or on the trunk, and they forgot about it, and they just didn't see it. I've done that before. And also, it was at night.
Right.
So, it probably slipped off when they turned.
Yeah.
Because where they found it was in the median.
Right.
On the side. And the guy who found it thought it was a prop.
Yeah.
So he
didn't follow pro wrestling, so of course he doesn't know what it is that he's looking at.
Right. And then he saw on the news that they're looking for this championship.
Right.
And that's when he turned it in.
Yeah.
He was briefly investigated as being the person who stole, because initially they thought somebody stole.
They saw that someone had stolen it.
Right. And that was the word that's been used the entire time.
Right.
But it wasn't.
It was misplaced.
Right. They tracked his GPS coordinates. They tracked everything. He was not anywhere near, from the airport to the limousine to Jericho.
Right.
Or to Longhorn Steakhouse, which also bothers me.
Why does that bother you as much as the
Chris Jericho is eating at Longhorn Steakhouse?
Yeah, so?
That's obnoxious.
He's American. He does what he wants.
I love you, Jericho.
Well, actually, he's from Canada, so he's actually Canadian. But he still does what he wants.
I love you, Jericho, but For God fucking sake. I mean, with this, I need a little bit of the bubbly, okay?
Well, yeah, right. I love that.
He got that
angle.
over.
Yeah,
Apparently, a little bit of the bubbly is getting over because Jericho, I swear to, he made a clipboard get over. Like,
Right.
come on.
That's Jericho for you. He'll make just about anything get over.
Now, another person that we can talk about being one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time is Chris Jericho.
And then he doesn't sue the WWE. For any reason.
Well, no, he doesn't, because Jericho knows his value.
Right.
He copyrighted Chris Jericho in WCW.
Right.
Rey Mysterio did that in WCW.
Right.
And it's like, he knew the value of this name. So he did that a while ago.
Right.
But I just think the story is great. You can't write that.
You can't write a story.
I don't think people should discredit the championship because of this. It's an honest mistake, and if you say
it could have happened to anyone, and I'm pretty sure this happened to I'm sure it's happened to world titles many times, but see, they have this magical thing called insurance.
Right, there is a huge insurance policy on this championship.
Yeah, there's a lot of insurance policies on those championships.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That champion, I think, how much did they say it was worth? Like $53,000.
Yeah, it was something. It was something like that.
It was a 5-figure belt. It's like, yeah, you're not gonna
right.
I don't know. I would have worn it around my waist personally.
I'm surprised he did not just have it on him and look like all of that in the bag of chips.
Right.
Now that sounds very Ric Flair-esque, but I mean, I don't know.
But that's something that I could see Chris Jericho doing. Something
Chris Jericho seems to be a very humble guy, but Jericho's been in this business for a while.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he of all people did this.
Right.
Not to be mean, and he could have been rushing. He could have been starving.
Right.
You never know.
Exactly.
Maybe that's why he went to Longhorn fucking Steakhouse.
Right. Anyways,
let's go to a fucking chain steakhouse.
I didn't see a lot
fucking
of
Perry's.
Right.
God damn it.
Well, they're in Tallahassee.
Tallahassee, well, they're in Florida. Maybe that's like the most luxurious steakhouse in the world.
They don't have that kind of crap in Tallahassee.
God.
But I didn't see a lot of other major news stories come through.
Not anything like super big.
No.
Destruction is going on with New Japan, so they're doing the Young Lions Cup right now.
Okay.
Which is a pretty significant thing. Generally, a lot of these young lions who win this are the ones who are the next person to get a gimmick and pushed.
Ah, okay.
Jay White, for instance, won the Young Lions Cup.
Oh, okay.
So that's going on right now. I think they've only done like 3 or 4 days, so it's not like anything super big happened. No championship changed. Yeah. I believe the next title match is going to be the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team title matches, and then the Intercontinental Champion match. But that's, I think, mid-September. I think that's the 15th and 16th.
Oh, okay.
So really, we're kind of treading water right now as a part of that. So also, the thing with Casey Catanzaro, we did cover this.
Yes.
Ricochet has stated publicly that the rumors are not true. She's going to take some time away.
She's still technically signed.
Yeah, I
still saw her on.
She's doing house shows.
Oh, okay.
She's doing house shows still. It's like she's
not leaving the WWE. She's not retiring
or
anything like that.
No.
She's just taking. That's what I thought. I thought that was weird that Casey was still listed on the roster on the Performance Center.
They would not. They would try to keep that girl on. If anybody who could be a really big player is Casey Catanzaro.
Right.
She has the athletic background. She has a great look about her.
Right.
And she seemed to have a decent little bit of charisma.
Yeah,
a lot of people. The last time we saw her was in the Royal Rumble.
Right.
And she did great.
Yeah.
She was really over.
She was.
Which was really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, I think that pretty much covers everything that has gone on this week. Next weekend, obviously, is Clash of Champions.
So we'll do the show immediately after that. So it'll be a later upload, obviously.
But we'll do the prediction. We'll do the resolution of the show. We'll do the results, and we'll touch on a small topic or two, or maybe if something major has happened in the news, we'll let you know.
Right.
But let's go to the major topic when we come back.
Right.
From our break here, and it's going to be transgender. individuals
right,
in professional wrestling,
which is a heavy topic,
yeah.
and I understand that. We're gonna cover this as we'll kind of go into it when we come back from break.
Exactly.
So
all right.
enjoy your break, grab a drink, jack off, do whatever you need to do. And we are back. We wanted to do this later, one for the long amount of viewership that we can get from it, which looks really good when we get on iTunes.
Right.
But this topic is going to touch on some subjects, and it's going to be very heavy.
Yep, so feminazis, get your tumblers ready because we are about to do some heavy hitting.
We're going to talk about transgenders. Now, I'm not going to say anything about it. You do you, boo, and if it makes you feel better, I don't care.
Now, yeah, so keep in mind that this is not going to be a general discussion on transgender individuals at all, or any political implications of it, but we are going to touch on transgender in professional wrestling.
Right.
Which is different
We're not
than transgenders in sports, because remember this key difference. Wrestling is scripted. So the wins and the losses are not determined by who has this much hormone. It doesn't matter.
Right.
What matters is what the writing tells you. So
right.
how does the wrestling landscape tackle this? Give us a brief history into transgender, because I know you did a lot of research, Tiger Height, into transgenders in wrestling.
Yes. So before we go into it, I want to at least give some caveats. We're not talking about androgynous competitors like Rico or Pimpinela Esquilaza or anything like that.
Right.
We're talking about legitimate transgender wrestlers. Nyla Rose, Candy Lee. There were a couple of other ones. I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Give us a brief history into why this is important now, and just what happened in the past, or where did this all begin? Who was the first?
So it's kind of hard to determine on who was the first. There were some wrestlers that transitioned after the fact, and it was kind of hard to find any kind of history based on it. Okay. So Harley Ryder is the first one that I could find as a part of a more... This is the United Kingdom. This is the only United Kingdom current transgender wrestler. So it was a male born female now. Transgender, whatever. She wrestles on the women's division.
Okay.
There is Asuka, not the Asuka in WWE. There was an Asuka before.
Right.
She is more significant because she transitioned during her career.
Okay.
So she started her career as a male.
As a male competitor.
As a male competitor, and then went to a female, and she is the first transgender woman, to our knowledge, to win a major indie women's championship.
Right.
This is only in Japan. But then there's Candy Lee, who is much different than a lot of these other competitors. She got into the business later. I think she was like 30.
Right.
She is the first woman to hold a championship of some kind of a major indie promotion.
Yeah.
It was an intergender.
Right.
So Asuka's thing still stands as it is.
Right.
And also WWE have expressed interest in Candy Lee as them signing, which would be a major coup. And we're obviously going to have to talk about Nyla Rose, who is the first transgender woman to sign with a major North American promotion.
Right.
And that's why she's our thumbnail. Because she is a point of really a big topic here.
Right.
Because this is, if you said that it wasn't political. In a way, it kind of is. This is a good political card for AEW.
We have to step in to, we can't get political about the morality of such things, but if you were AEW right now and this championship match was on the card, how would you book it? What are the positives and negatives to Nyla Rose winning, or to
Ryu.
Ryu.
So the smallest girl in the world
versus
transgender.
98-pound girl versus I don't know how heavy Nyla Rose is.
I mean, I think she's like 275 or something like that. She's much larger.
Right.
Now, I did not know she was transgendered until somebody told me.
Right. Well, because she has native root. It was a Native American roots.
Yes.
And Native American women, at least as far as we can tell, tend to be on the bigger side.
Yep.
I don't know what exactly it is. I don't know if it's a lifestyle or diet or something, but they tend to be a lot bulkier anyway. So it's very easy to not know if you don't know the history of Nyla Rose. It's very easy to say, oh, she's just like she's just a big girl.
Right. Exactly. Not saying that's bad.
No.
And this is significant because Nyla Rose is going to be going for the inaugural AEW Women's World Champion
against
Ryu, I believe at the first show. I think October 2nd.
Yeah, I think it's the October 2nd show when this match is set to happen.
Now,
so AEW booking this match. are they going to have Ryu win, or are they going to have Nyla Rose win? So let's discuss a little bit on the positives and negatives about letting Ryu win.
So with Ryu winning, they I don't know what happened there. With Ryu winning, I believe Nyla Rose could be a better chaser than a actual champion.
Right.
As a part of a credible challenger.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that she can't be a credible champion at all, but there are some people who are better at going for the belt than being the champion. And we can't determine that until that happens.
Exactly.
But I can see Nyla Rose more as the contender than the champion.
Right. Well, I can also see her as a credible, dominant champion as well.
Right.
However,
they're really pushing Ryu hard right now, too.
They are.
Because she's, no matter if she is 98 pounds with 2 cinder blocks tied to her ankles and sopping wet, she is a very great competitor, and it would be a huge underdog story.
Right. But she is also facing someone who was technically born as a male. And
not technically, it was definitely a male. Right. She was a male. She is a transgender woman.
So technically has, even though she's gone through years of hormonal therapy, her muscle groups are going to be different than that of an average woman.
Her bone density is going to be way different.
Yes.
And this is going to be interesting, and that's another thing is are women facing now. I think it would be positive for Nyla Rose to win because
it would make a statement.
It would make a statement, and also that brownie points with the SJW community and the LGBTQ community.
But then she's also going to alienate a lot of other people who might have a problem with. Even though she's not legally or a male, there are a lot of people in a lot of communities who might think differently.
Right.
And so you're talking with a group of people who are letting a male win a championship.
But that's nothing new. Andy Kaufman won the WWF Women's Champion at 1.2.
Santino Marella won the WWE Women's Champion.
No, he didn't.
Oh, I thought he did.
No,
he won Miss WrestleMania.
Yeah, he won Miss WrestleMania with Santino Marella.
Right.
No,
and then you got, then you have
Harvey Whippleman won the Women's Champion.
And then you have, who is that guy winning the inaugural Women's Money in the Bank ladder match?
Oh, James Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth.
Yep.
So that we don't want to group her. We don't want to group Nyla Rose into that realm.
I don't. For me personally, I don't see it as that. I don't
see it as that either. I'm just saying that there are people who would see it that way.
Oh, I know there will, and there might be.
That's the problem.
There might be some people who will be mad that Nyla Rose, given maybe her experience, she hasn't been wrestling super long either. Maybe given that experience on this big stage, just because she's transgender, she gets that title.
Right.
It's like, well, what about Awesome Kong and
what about
Bea Presley? And I mean, there's a lot of people who have a lot more experience under their belt,
who probably are more worthy competitors of such a champion. But again, that brings it back to what is the purpose of even putting Nyla Rose in the match in the first place?
It's the brownie points. It really is.
I think they're making a political statement.
It's like I said, with the whole thing with the transgender thing, you can try to stay as non-political as possible, but it's almost an impossibility.
Right. So that's kind of what we're running into, and I know that AEW has pushed diversity essentially from the very beginning.
Right.
And so I can see the merit in putting the women's champion on someone who was born a male.
Right. Not just that, because they could just have a male win the belt, a transgender. That's a much different thing than just saying, oh, he's gay. And that's why I said, let's keep the homosexual competitors and the androgynous characters out of this conversation, because that's another conversation for another day.
Exactly.
I mean, I think more people, if you were totally ignorant, would accept a homosexual as a wrestler than a
Right.
transgender as a wrestler.
Right, because then you're going into some territory where when you're booking this match, because of course they're going to determine who wins and who loses. Do they have a competitor of that size and stature with that amount of credit? Well, I mean, not like wrestling credibility, but with that amount of
As a part of the transgender, or if Nyla Rose wins the belt.
right. Do they put Ryu over that? Do they put Ryu as a woman, like born and raised woman?
But also
over
she's
Nyla
20.
Rose?
Also she's 22 and
Right.
very small. And like I said, this is
but
this match itself is a very big.
David versus Goliath.
It's a David versus Goliath, but it's
Right.
also a big thing do we push Ryu as a super big underdog against Nyla Rose, or
Right.
do we go for the transgender winning a championship
Right.
brownie points?
because if
There can only be one inaugural champion.
right, because if you have Nyla Rose win the match, it's hard because at some point in time you have to say, well, she doesn't have just that physical competitive edge because she's a bigger gal, but
Right.
she literally has different muscular densities, bone densities, because she was born
a different mindset as a
Right.
part of training.
exactly.
And you can take as many hormones as you want, but there's going to be
There's
something
gonna be-
inherent
there are going-
to
right,
her.
There are going to be some things that you can bring down the testosterone levels to 0. You can do the sex reassignment surgery, but you cannot change the density of bones very easily.
Right.
You cannot change the muscular structures very easily, and men do tend to have bigger muscular
right.
structures than
And
women
you're
do.
right. There might be a lot of people that will get really pissed off that Nyla Rose, who is technically born a male, now a female, transgender, is winning the women's champion. They're really skirting a really interesting line.
Yeah, they
here.
are. And see, that's where it gets interesting, because when you're talking about traditional sports, like for example, there have been a lot of races where women who were technically born males, or women who have features of both sexes.
Hermaphrodites, yeah.
Right. Hermaphrodites participating in races, and they are perceived to have a competitive advantage because they are male.
Right,
not
and
female.
that's another interesting thing to get
right.
into is hermaphrodites in these competitors, because I mean there
They
are
essentially choose their own gender.
there are MMA fighters
Right.
that were hermaphrodites and transgender. They're already
Right.
ahead of the curve. They were ahead of the curve for like 10 years, but
Right.
there was I can't remember her name. There was a women's fighter right now. I was listening to the Joe Rogan interview. I did not write down the name, which I'm really pissed about.
Yeah.
That she's transgender, born a man,
Right.
trained as a man for a while, and then now is a woman. But the thing is that she has the facial structure. She looks like a woman, but she has, you can just tell, there's
Like
massive
that
muscles,
right.
huge, and it's like it looks like a woman on steroids.
Right.
And not to be offensive, but you can look at her and say it looks like a guy in a wig.
Right.
And like I said, this is not taking away from her femininity whatsoever.
Right,
because
but
I don't care. I have
again-
no dog. I have no dog in the fight.
But
in
again,
this.
you do have that.
And she's crushing it. She's killing everybody because she has
the muscular structure of a man.
right. Her punching power is going to be so much greater
Right.
than a born and raised and taught woman.
Right.
You know?
Who have different bone and muscular structures.
Right.
So when we're talking about Nyla Rose, we're not talking about the political aspects of having a woman win, because obviously they get the brownie points for
Right.
for doing someone who is transgender winning. But from a physicality standpoint, there are not a lot of women who can match
No.
Nyla Rose.
Right. And I mean, there's Awesome Kong. They can.
Right.
I mean,
But she's just a big woman.
Right. We've seen also seen people who have. We've seen Nyla Rose wrestle.
Right.
She was up against Ryu and Shida.
Yeah.
It was a great match. I think that was one of my more favorite matches on Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
It was such a great match. And obviously with their booking, and I think this is where that pro wrestling thing comes into play, they can book Nyla Rose as a monster and still lose as a part of a David versus Goliath.
Right, exactly. But how do, I don't know. It's just a matter of booking. How do they justify having a 98-pound girl essentially beating someone who has the muscular structure of a male?
Right, who's 270, who's 275.
Who is almost 3 times her
and
size.
I think that's why.
How will that make the transgender community look weaker?
I didn't think about that. It could be. I mean, we don't see a lot of.
What kind of, again, we're going back into the politics here. How will that be viewed on a cultural level?
Right, and it's hard to say. To be honest, this is a wait and see because we've never, in North America, we've never had this experience.
Right.
We can say, oh, we can go to Japan, but the transgender community in Japan is much more accepted than it is here.
Right.
This is a much different world. And this is the first transgender to sign with a major television, big time stage.
On TV, North American.
This is a much different avenue that we have never seen, and to be honest, I don't think the wrestling fan will be as jaded as a lot of people are going to. There's going to be some.
There are. I mean,
but people accept.
Going back on that, there has been a lot of crackdown with bigotry in the wrestling amongst the fans.
Right.
People. Like you've seen stories about that wrestler at ringside doing the Nazi salutes.
Yep.
And then getting kicked out and then coming back in. There's a lot of backlash against those kinds of people.
There was JBL who did that too. Right. He did the Nazi salutes and stuff. He was fired from his first Fox affiliate program with finances because of it. Yeah, I think this happened like 2005.
Oh, well, yeah, I know about the JBL Nazi salutes.
Yeah,
but
it's not. It's illegal. It's illegal for if you're going to do it for a political thing.
But that's different. We're talking about fans. We're not talking about wrestlers.
Right.
We're talking about fans who legitimately do not. And so my point is that there's still a lot of hatred out there, even amongst wrestling fans.
Well, of course there is. There's always going to be. Right. Nyla Rose has an uphill battle from the word go.
Right.
Because of this decision.
Right. And depending on how they book her, not only for the match on October 2nd, but also the match, in the future. They're walking a line. They're walking a really fine line.
Oh yeah.
And putting her, well, I can't say that you can't put her in the title scene too soon, but in my opinion, it almost seems like it's too soon.
I think it might be. Honestly, I think that's why.
Because they are literally taking a chance and making an experiment.
But
with this match, they are testing the. They are testing the political will.
And this is a statement saying this is happening, and we're really going to make history. I mean, right now she's making history.
Yeah.
As a part of being a transgender, going for a major women's championship.
Right.
In mainstream.
Yeah.
So there is definitely that, and I think this is a great way to kick off their show because this is going to get a lot of eyeballs on that fucking product.
It is, and it's gonna generate a lot. Obviously, it's generating buzz with us because it's something that we need to talk about.
Right. It is, and I think the discussion can be. I think it might be premature to make the discussion on if this is a good thing. At least for North America.
Right. Because we need to see
how the audience responds.
Right.
That is how this is going to work.
Exactly.
Obviously people accept Nyla Rose as a competitor because she is one of the biggest things in wrestling right now. At least in women's division wrestling.
Right, but
I mean, if Nyla Rose didn't sign with WWE, if she didn't sign with AEW, WWE would be talking with her like nobody's business.
Right, but then it comes down to, it just comes down to how do you book this? How do you book this?
Right.
And so
I can't say. I mean, this is a rock.
Do you make her win? And send a statement to the women's division by saying that because she's different, somehow she's more dominant than you? Or do you have Ryu win and then say that people like her
can beat anybody.
Or somehow she's not as good.
We'll have to see.
So
I mean, we've been on for about 21 minutes. I really don't have much else to say.
Yeah.
I guess really it's a see and wait time.
wait and see. Wait and see. But I think that AEW is playing a big gamble with this, and I think in the long run it's going to be a positive. Obviously, it's always going to be a positive, but with the acknowledgement that there is still a lot of hate amongst wrestling fans, what are the short-term risks associated? I'm not saying that in the short term it's going to be a good or a bad thing, but I think you are going to essentially put wrestling fans into two camps.
Oh yeah, this is stirring the pot. And I'm excited for it.
I'm really excited for it.
Oh yeah, and they're gonna have a great match. These two have really good
awesome.
chemistry. This is a history-making moment for all of wrestling,
Yep.
and hopefully, I have faith that AEW will make the right call
Yes.
and if somehow it does bring up a little bit of controversy, I think they can.
It's not going to be a bad thing.
No, I think they can pivot it to work in their favor.
Absolutely.
So I think it's all good. And honestly, with this, there could be transgender wrestling fans who won't be as hesitant on going for it because obviously it can happen. Obviously, a major wrestling promotion has signed a transgender. A transgender woman could transition into a man, and
that would be a whole nother conversation.
Right. This because you can build on top. You can build muscle mass on top, but you can never take it away.
Right.
And that's the difference. And obviously, the whole thing with the transgender, we just can't do it in 22 minutes.
Right.
There's a lot more to go into it, but really, the thing that we were talking about was really the Nyla Rose thing. With Candy Lee talking with WWE and the places that have already done it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious to see on how people have reacted.
Exactly.
I know with Japan,
right.
They've accepted it for a very long time.
Right, but you're talking about Japan versus the United States, where we still have the majority of people who watch wrestling who are of that conservative crowd.
Right.
So what are you trying to what's AEW saying?
Right.
What is AEW going to say with this?
Absolutely.
And so that to me is more interesting than the match itself. I'm more interested in seeing how this is booked than anything, because no matter what way they're going to book, they're going to make a statement. So we'll have to see.
Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
I think we've done everything.
Oh yeah.
So we'll be taking a short break after this.
No, we're done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess we're done.
I'm like that was the main topic. I have nothing else to say for the show. That's it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was anything else.
Nope. Well, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, follow, do whatever you need to do. I'm hoping we'll be on Apple Podcasting at some point, hopefully soon. But we'll buy our time. And, become a patron, follow us on our social medias, and as always, be majestic. Thank you for listening to the Pro Wrestling Zone podcast, a Majestic production. If you enjoyed this program, feel free to follow us on all social media platforms. Links in the description section of wherever you're watching this. We are on all channels. We will be doing this once at least a week, and we will let you know when we go live. Also, if you want to support us further and get great exclusive content, including watch parties, merchandise, signings, and any and all future shows, become a patron today at patreon.com/MajesticP. That again is patreon.com/MajesticP. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, or morning, and as always, be majestic.